Jellyfish heaven, where jellyfish go to get away from Mormons and drunk Eskimos. Jellyfish heaven is a lot like LA. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. The jellyfish will sting you and your body will swell. Jellyfish heaven in the big blue sea, where it's too cold to surf and it's too warm to ski. Jellyfish heaven is full of dead jellyfish. People always saying, I want a jellyfish, 'cause they ain't got no bones and you can't make a wish. People always shouting, don't go swimming near those things, but when they're close to dying, you can hear them sing. Jellyfish heaven is not like Japan. Jellyfish heaven is not like Thailand. Jellyfish heaven is a lot like LA. Sweet jellyfish, sweet jellyfish. I'm dazed and confused, but so long it's not true. I wanted a jellyfish, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking, few of them know. The soul of a jellyfish was created bigger. Father, don't preach, I'm gonna keep my jellyfish. I've been tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish. Oh Lord, I feel like I'm dying. Gotta go somewhere when you die, so why not see the world through jellyfish eyes? Jellyfish heaven, where jellyfish go to get away from Mormons and drunk Eskimos. Jellyfish heaven is a lot like LA. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. The jellyfish will sting you and your body will swell. Jellyfish heaven in the big blue sea, where it's too cold to surf and it's too warm to ski. Jellyfish heaven is full of dead jellyfish. People always saying, I want a jellyfish, 'cause they ain't got no bones and you can't make a wish. People always shouting, don't go swimming near those things, but when they're close to dying, you can hear them sing. Jellyfish heaven is not like Japan. Jellyfish heaven is not like Thailand. Jellyfish heaven is a lot like LA. Sweet jellyfish, sweet jellyfish. I'm dazed and confused, but so long it's not true. I wanted a jellyfish, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking, few of them know. The soul of a jellyfish was created bigger. Father, don't preach, I'm gonna keep my jellyfish. I've been tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish. Oh Lord, I feel like I'm dying. Gotta go somewhere when you die, so why not see the world through jellyfish eyes? Jellyfish heaven, where jellyfish go to get away from Mormons and drunk Eskimos. Jellyfish heaven is a lot like LA. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. The jellyfish will sting you and your body will swell. Jellyfish heaven in the big blue sea, where it's too cold to surf and it's too warm to ski. Jellyfish heaven is full of dead jellyfish. like Japan. Jellyfish heaven is not like Thailand. Jellyfish heaven is alive like LA. Sweet jellyfish, sweet jellyfish. I'm dazed and confused for so long it's not true. I wanted a jellyfish, never falling for you. Lots of people talking, few didn't know. Soul of a jellyfish was created in love. Father don't preach, I'm gonna keep my jellyfish. I've been tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish. Oh Lord, I feel like I'm dying. Gotta go somewhere when you die. So why not see the world through jellyfish eyes? Jellyfish heaven where jellyfish go to get away from Mormons and drunk Eskimos. Jellyfish heaven is alive like LA. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. The jellyfish will sting you and your body will swell. Jellyfish heaven in the big blue sea, where it's too cold to surf and it's too warm to ski. Jellyfish heaven is full of dead jellyfish. People always saying, I want a jellyfish, 'cause they ain't got no bones and you can't make a wish. People always shouting, don't go swimming near those things. But when they're thirsty dying, you can hear them sing. Jellyfish heaven is not like Japan. Jellyfish heaven is not like Thailand. Jellyfish heaven is alive like LA. Sweet jellyfish, sweet jellyfish. I'm dazed and confused for so long it's not true. I wanted a jellyfish, never falling for you. Lots of people talking, few didn't know. Soul of a jellyfish was created in love. Father Jellyfish Jellyfish heaven is alive, like LA. Sweet jellyfish, sweet jellyfish. I'm dazed and confused for so long it's not true. I wanted a jellyfish, never falling for you. Lots of people talking, fewer than know. The soul of a jellyfish was created for you. Father, don't preach, I'm gonna keep my jellyfish. I've been tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish, tied to the jellyfish. Oh Lord, I feel like I'm dying. Gotta go somewhere when you die. So why not see the world through jellyfish eyes? Jellyfish heaven where jellyfish go to get away from Mormons and drunk Eskimos. Jellyfish heaven is alive, like LA. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. The jellyfish will sting you and your body will swell. Jellyfish heaven in a big blue sea, where it's too cold to surf and it's too warm to ski. Jellyfish heaven is full of dead jellyfish. People always saying, I want a jellyfish, cause they ain't got no bones and you can't make a wish. People always shouting, don't go swimming near those things. But when they're close to dying, you can hear them sing.
Shalom, everyone. If you're trying to sign in, which I recommend to do because this is an interactive thing, I recommend that you try to type something in the main chat, follow the prompts, and shortly after you will be here. The hardest part people have is finding a name. I recommend that you use a normal name and add punktorah or OneShul at the end of it and just be done and over with it. So, with that being said, I'd like to welcome everyone to Monday Night Torah Study. Hannah could not be here this evening. Everybody knows she's got some stuff going on with her parents and such, and she texted me a few minutes ago to let me know she needed me to jump in, and here I am. You're probably all sick of looking at me anyway. And so since we're doing Torah study, it's something I haven't done in the past, but I'm going to do now. I'm actually going to read the blessing before the Torah study, the Torah reading. I'm going to read it in English. I could not find it and translate quick enough, and I apologize. Like I said, I didn't find out until a couple minutes ago that I was actually doing this. So, praise the Lord to whom all praise is due. Praise be the Lord to whom our praise is due, now and forever. Blessed is the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has chosen us from all peoples by giving us his Torah. Blessed is the Lord, giver of the Torah. For those of you who are not familiar, the Torah, the first 5 books of that were, they call them the books of Moshe, and we read through it throughout the entire year. We have what's called a weekly Parsha reading. Parsha means part of, meaning what part of the Torah we're going to be reading that week. And we do cover the entire Torah in a year. And this week's portion is called Metzora. And let me pull this up. Which is Leviticus 14:1 through 15:33. And I'm going to do what's called in a nutshell real quick, which is just covering things quickly, and then we'll get back into it. Last week they were talking about leprosy and how we deal with people with leprosy. And what it's saying is that's actually a misinterpretation of what Metzora is. Metzora is actually a person afflicted by a spiritual issue, which puts him or her at a state of impurity. We do see this obviously with women after birth, after coming back from war, and several other places that is mentioned that you're considered impure. Blood is also an impurity. Being exposed to blood is very much an impurity. Let's see. And this week's portion goes into recovery of Metzora by purification by the Kohen. The Kohen are the priests of the temple, with special procedures involving 2 birds, spring water, an earthen vessel, a piece of cedar wood, a scarlet thread, and a bundle of hyssop. Hyssop is a perennial herb here in the U.S., and actually pretty good smelling one. I've sold a lot of it. A home can be inflicted with zarat by the appearance of dark red or green patches on its walls. In the process lasting as long as 19 days, a Kohen determines if the house can be purified or whether it must be demolished. And judging where this comes from, judging where this would come from, is keeping in mind that we are in the Middle East, and at this time, that actually would have been, by the colors that I'm reading and knowing what I know about botany, this would have been mold. Interestingly enough, green and red, dark red, are both very destructive molds found in the Middle East, which would affect a family if it was actually in what they had at that point, which was tents. And it would get in the material and it could do some damage. I know we have some problem with the black mold up north, that they've had to demolish houses because it's actually that toxic to people. Now, ritual impurity is also, I don't even know what that word is. Ritual impurity is also engaged, I'll say, through a seminal or other discharge in the man, and menstruation or other discharge of blood in a woman, necessitating purification through immersion in a mikvah, which is interesting because we all know that STDs are actually passed through this type of form of activity, and that would make sense that they would be saying things like this. I'm going to get into chat here real quick while I discuss this, because I can't see what any of you are saying. Shalom, Abriella and Ariella. The idea that the woman is dirty, so to speak, during this period is a misconnotation, and it's very deeply thrown off base, and has been kind of rearranged and torn away from what it originally was. It wasn't intended to say that you're dirty or anything like that. That is not the case at all. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're dirty or anything like that. This is a very natural thing that's just being provided for by Hashem. Everybody knows that I can consider the Torah the instruction manual for us, given to us by our manufacturer, and I try to follow it in such a way. So I really don't have much to say about this topic, to be honest with you. Um, but we all know what the halakha is. If you don't, feel free to say I don't know what the halakha is on this, and I'll help you out. We discussed in recently in Forget Flesh Harvest the fact of the myth of the 2 weeks, which it wasn't 2 weeks. There was actually testing rags, and they did away with the testing rags because it was creating discomfort for the women. So they did away with the testing rags in lieu of 2 weeks, and they followed 2 weeks. Chabadniks explain it as Hashem providing. People are funny. They pull apart and they draw together. And I'm a little off topic here, and I apologize. That time away from each other is actually giving you that time where you need, so you pull back together when the time of quote unquote impurity is actually fulfilled. Now I'm going to dive into the actual Parsha itself. I'm not going to be able to see the chat room, so give me just a minute to get here. Okay. Lord spoke unto Moses, this shall be the law of the person afflicted with Zara'ath on the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the Kohen. The Kohen shall go outside the camp, and the Kohen shall look and behold. The lesion of the Zara'ath has healed in the afflicted person, and the way this was described in the former parsha was white spots, etc., etc., etc. Then, if the white spots covered your entire body, it wasn't viewed as an imperfection. But the way take it on if you're looking at a physical note, what you're talking about is they're worried about leprosy. If you look at a spiritual note, they're talking about something that a person is spiritually, mentally dealing with. Then the Kohen shall order the person to be cleansed, shall take 2 live clean birds, a cedar stick, a strip of crimson wool, and hyssop. The live bird, it has to exclude those that have a fatal disease or injury. Cleaning, excluding the unclean bird. The unclean bird is even forbidden to be eaten. Why is the bird required to be conserved? Because the lesions of the Zarath come as a result of derogatory speech, which is done by chattering. Therefore, his cleansing, this person is required to bring birds, which twitter constantly with chirping sounds. So it's supposed to kind of drown out his big mouth. The cedar stick, because haltiness. I'm assuming meaning how well it holds up. It symbolizes a tall cedar tree, so I'm not sure what haughtiness is. But if somebody could tell me what haughtiness is, that would be fantastic. The crimson wood and a hyssop. Okay, haughtiness is apparently bringing you up spiritually. Then you have to bring yourself back down. And you do that with the berries to make the dye. The berries that made the dye for the color, and the hyssop. Cedar stick. Okay. The Kohen shall order one, shall slaughter the one bird into the earthenware vessel over spring water. they do this so that the blood will be recognized in it, and the live bird, he shall take it, and then the cedar stick, the strip of crimson wool, and the hyssop, and along with the live bird, he shall dip them into the blood of the slaughtered bird over the spring water. He shall then sprinkle several times upon the person being cleansed from Zaharath, and he shall cleanse him. He shall then send away the live bird into the open field. The person being cleansed shall then immerse his garments, shave off all his hair, and immerse himself in water and become clean, basically like a male version of a mikvah. After this, he may enter the camp, but then he shall remain outside his tent for 7 days. And this was done every time they came back from battle. Interesting enough, the birds are listed as doves, and they're listed as and if you see the symbol of the dove, there's always three things. That's interesting. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. And it shall be the 7th day that he shall shave off his hair, his head, his beard, his eyebrows, indeed all his hair he shall shave off. He shall then immerse his garments and immerse his flesh in water. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 unblemished lambs, 1 unblemished ewe lamb in its first year, and 3/10, and whatever, I'm going to ignore that, a fine flour mixed with olive oil as a meal offering, and 1 log of oil, which I didn't know logs were oil, but. And the Kohen who is performing the cleansing shall place the person being cleansed with these things before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And the Kohen shall take 1 lamb and bring it to guilt offering along with the log of oil, and wave them as a waving before the Lord. Whoops. Not sure why that. He shall slaughter the lamb in a place where one slaughters the sin offerings and burnt offerings in the holy place. For regarding the Kohen, the guilt offering is like the sin offering; it's holy in the holy of holies. The Kohen takes some of the blood of the guilt offering, and the Kohen shall place it above the cartilage of the right ear of the person being cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the Kohen shall take some of the log of oil and pour it onto the Kohen's left palm. The Kohen shall then dip his right index finger into some of the oil that is on his left palm, and sprinkle some of the oil with his index finger several times before the Lord. Shalom to everyone who just came in. Let me see who just came in. Shalom, Rebecca, and shalom, Michael. Okay, last week Hannah was talking about, the whole birthing thing, and, how if you gave birth to a girl, you had an extra 30 days for recovery as opposed to a boy, and we discussed why that may be. Why do you feel that, and if we felt that that was a sexist discriminatory thing, and we decided no, it's not a sexist discriminatory thing, we pretty much said the rule of thumb now is 6 weeks anyway, so, it is what it was. How do you feel about the men being pulled aside and having this all done to them? to make them pure again. And keep in mind, this was done every time they came back from battle. Every time they came back from a war, every time they came back from a conflict, and they actually drew blood and were exposed to blood, they had to go through this. There are several reasons for this. First, obviously, somebody returning from a war, and keep in mind, a war back in those days was close encounter. You were eye to eye with someone. You were next to them. We didn't have guns. So it was very brutal. It was very close encounter. This can be very scarring to people. Anybody who has served in the military and served our country knows that this can be a very traumatic thing. I've worked with many people who have come back and dealt with the trauma of what they actually had to do to defend our country. So that the idea that they would need some time to bring themselves back to reality before returning to society and before returning to their family seems like a very valid thing to me. How do you all feel about it? I'm not sure if our military actually has, like, they used to call it debriefing, but I'm not sure that they do that anymore. But there used to be a time period after you returned that you would spend time in the barracks before returning to your family and back out into society just to get your head back together. Yes, I agree, Michael. You know, I've been in a few violent situations myself, and I needed downtime to recover from that and return my head to where it needed to be. Um, and it was definitely an important part of the whole thing to regain your sanity, so you don't have that continual mindset of what you actually just went through. PTSD is a big thing. You don't want to be flipping out. Okay, so we pretty much all agree it makes sense and it's a good idea, and so I'm going to continue on. Now, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I found this part interesting. But if he is poor and cannot afford these sacrifices, he shall take one male lamb as a guilt offering for a waving to effect atonement for him, and 1/10 of a fine flour mix with oil as a meal offering, and a log of oil. So if you're poor and you can't afford two goats, as we all know, goats are very valuable back in the day. That's how we atone things. Then it was acceptable to bring one and a little less flour. The birds it goes ahead to describe as two turtle doves. Interesting. You can actually find this in a Christmas Carol. Two young doves is what they go on to say. According to what you can afford, one shall be a sin offering and one shall be a burnt offering. And he shall bring them on the 8th day of his cleansing to the Kohen and the entrance of the tent of meeting and before the Lord. The Kohens go ahead and do pretty much what they did last time. Same thing, smearing on the cartilage, his right hand and his big toe and his right foot. pour some of the oil onto his palm. I'd be interested to really look into what these actually mean. If anybody knows, please let me know what the interpretation is. Sprinkle some on the right index finger. And basically it goes on to say whatever he can afford, meaning the person who can't afford to do it properly. So it is taken into consideration that you're poor, you may not be able to afford the 2 goats and 2 perfect doves, and we all know how Judaism is, where you try to go for everything as perfect as possible. And the reasoning behind this is, as I was explained to by a rabbi, it's not that you want the best possible. You want the best possible for what you're given. So if you can afford to, say for instance, get the most gorgeous silver Kiddush cup, then you're commanded to do so. If you can afford a lavish goat, and if you can afford to have 150 people over to your home for Shabbat, and your home is big enough for that, you're commanded to do that. You are commanded to do what you can afford. Do the best with what you have. So those of us who keep moving up the ladder, as many of us are, obviously, and you're correct, Rebecca, that is very true. Oftentimes, sorry, my chat is a little slow. Oftentimes, the briefing and downtime is not enough. And it depends on the individual. That is so true. So if you're moving up the ladder, the intent is, if you can afford to get better things, better Kiddush cups, better candle holders, better mezuzah, etc., 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 you're commanded to do so. You're commanded to do more. Even if it's just inviting more people over Shabbat because you can afford to feed more people and have more people over, we're commanded to do that. We have all seen the amazingly beautiful, lavish things that are available in Judaism and drooled over them. I myself head towards the artsy kind of stuff. I love the artsy kind of stuff, that's part of our commandment. So just keep that in mind. It's what we can afford. Obviously, if you're in a situation where you can't afford a whole lot, then you're not required to do that. You're required to do what you can with what you have, and that's all that Hashem really asks of us. That does not apply towards tithing. Tithing, of course, is minimum 10%, but that you do 10%, and the most you can do. Most people don't realize there's a cap on tithing and charity, and the cap on your charity and tithing is actually 20%. And if you do any more, you're actually going against mitzvah. You have to keep it in that little bracket of 10 to 20% with your donation, tithing, and charity both. And keep in mind, it's also considered at this point, if you don't have income, giving of your time is considered your tithe, your 10%. Oops. Give me just a second. My whole thing just jumped, so give me a second. Okay, here I am. Then Moshe spoke to Aaron. He said, when you come to the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, and I place a legion of Zarath upon a house in the land of your possession, and the one of whom the house belongs comes and tells the Kohen, saying something like, a legion has appeared to me on the house, the Kohen shall order that they clear out the house before the Kohen comes to look at the legion, so that everything in the house should not become unclean, which makes sense. You don't want it getting infected with this particular mold. After this, the Kohen shall come and look at the house. Keep in mind, it's also going to clean the house up, and if there is a problem within the house rather than the house itself, they're going to see it. And he shall look at the lesion. Now, if the lesion in the walls of the house consists of dark green or dark red sunken-looking stains appearing as deeper than the wall, then the Kohen shall go out of the house to the entrance of the house, and he shall quarantine the house for 7 days. The Kohen then return in 7th day and look at the house. Now the lesion has spread in the walls of the house. The Kohen shall order they remove the stones upon which, okay, well, the stone houses, there you go. Again, it's still a fungus. And it would eat away at the mortar, because the mortar was actually made with grains, straw, and they actually went to the point where they would carry the stones outside the city and toss them into what was considered an unclean place. Does anybody know what was considered the unclean place as far as Israel and Hebrews were concerned? It's very specifically listed. All idols of every type were dropped here. Any statues, things of that nature were thrown here. Can somebody tell me exactly where that was? Nope, nope, nope. I got a feeling I'll actually be surprised, and it's actually the actual person who wrote it was actually wrong, but we do know where it was. They've actually found it, so. And this falls under the whole thing that I had talked about a couple of weeks ago with mislocation of geography with the Exodus and things of that nature. How the Christians came in and changed all the locations. But I'll go ahead and I'm not sure if Michael's going to be coming back or not. It was actually in what they called the Red Sea, which was not the Red Sea at all. It was actually the Gulf of somebody remind me, because my brain just went out on me. The Gulf of it's next. It's on the western side of the eastern side of Turkey. On the other side of the Sinai Peninsula, but that's actually where they found all the idols and stones and things of that nature were actually thrown. That was the unclean place, as far as we were concerned. Also, once we moved up into Jerusalem itself, they were using the Red Sea next to where Gaza is now, since the other was a little farther away. Nothing has been found there to confirm that, but that's what they speculate, that it was actually thrown into the Red Sea at that point. If the mold continues to spread, the house is demolished, and all the dust and everything is taken outside and dumped into either the Gulf that I mentioned or the Red Sea. Anyone entering the house during the quarantine period is then unclean until the evening, which we find a lot of unclean until the evening or unclean until the morning. Whoever lies down in this house shall immerse his garments, and whoever eats in the house shall immerse his garments. But if the Kohen comes again and looks, and behold, the lesion did not spread in the house, he has and is replastered, and he shall pronounce the house clean. To cleanse the house, again, 2 birds, cedar stick, crimson wool, and hyssop. It's pretty much the same ritual as before. They cleanse the house with the blood of the bird and spring water. Tie the wood and the hyssop to his leg. Set him free. Send away the bird outside of the city. Basically, what you see here, which is which I find interesting, because if we go to other religions, first we have the scapegoat, Azazel, which we use once a year for our atonement, and it's sent outside the city, and this is a very powerful spiritual message to everyone. Actually, physically watching someone carry away your sins and carry away the infliction. In this case, we see it being done with the bird. So again, we see this again, which I find very, very interesting, that we get to actually see this happening, and really cool. Give me just a second. I'm loading up the next page. Oh, it goes on to talk about discharge from the flesh, which is pustular. We're seeing a lot of discharge. They have a lot of issue with anything coming out of your body that oozes, apparently. Any of the bedding was considered unclean. Anywhere he sat was considered unclean. Any man who touches his bedding was considered unclean. Must immerse himself in his garments and remain unclean till the evening. And I'm sure some of this is just a misunderstanding of some of the actual discharges, but at any time that you're not aware of what something may be coming out of someone's body or why it's coming out of someone's body, it can appear to be harmful to you, and it's obviously a lack of understanding. We have much better science now. Goes into spitting, riding gear, anything that a person touches with a discharge at that point is considered unclean, and any person who touches anything that the man is considered unclean. If the man touches you, your garments and you are immersed, and you'll remain unclean. Any of the earthenware that he touches is to be destroyed. Any wooden vessel is to be rinsed in water. Keep in mind there was a high salt content in their water. I would say probably 0.0012 on a salinity scale, which is very effective in killing most parasites, fungus, and bacteria, and would serve as a very good antiseptic. Again, into the atonement for him, the meeting, the tent, etc. Let me know you're still alive. A man from whom there is a discharge of semen shall immerse all his flesh in water and shall remain unclean until the evening. Any garment or any leather which has semen on it shall be immersed in water and shall remain unclean until evening. A woman with whom a man cohabits, whereby there was semen, they shall immerse in water, and they shall remain unclean until evening. If a woman has a discharge, her flesh discharged blood, she shall remain in her state of menstrual separation for 7 days, and whoever touches her shall become unclean until evening. Whatever she lies on is unclean, etc., etc. Immerse the garments, immerse yourself in water, and unclean until the evening. Any object, same thing. There's no breaking of pottery or anything like that because of menstrual blood. If a man somehow comes in contact, he is then unclean for 7 days as well. So there's no harshness there. You're just unclean for 7 days. And what that pretty much means is, you can't go to temple. So, if for some reason she's bleeding or has a discharge, then you pretty much follow the same rules and have to go by the same guidelines. Bedding, blah blah blah, water, blah blah blah. She becomes clean if her discharge, she count herself 7 days, and after this she may be cleansed in a mikveh. Well, in that case, she actually has to do the doves and all that. It's considering defiling the sanctuary. Keep in mind, I'm just reading. I'm not necessarily giving my point of view on this. And it's to keep people from dying. Again, about the semen, about the menstrual blood. So, there's prohibitions on men also. There's rules about this for men also. And it's actually addressed in a fashion that it's addressed equally. That semen from men and blood from women are considered pretty close to the same thing, which I was not aware of and I find very interesting. Am I still broadcasting? Let me know if you can hear me. Testing, 1, 2, 3. So that is a definite interesting find to me that they're treated side by side like that. Um, something I wasn't aware of and a viewpoint that I never heard of before. So that's kind of interesting to me. Um, most of the time what we hear about is the women, but here we have the men being dressed in the same fashion with something on the other end, and what they deal with. So that's pretty cool. Yes, your computer is sending stuff, Miss Rebecca. Yes, it is. I'm definitely getting it. So, um, does anybody have any questions, comments about that, as far as how they feel about it, or obviously we have science nowadays. Obviously, we understand things a little better nowadays. Most of these people who follow this particular ruling, obviously we don't do animal sacrifice anymore, so the doves are out. Um, but we do go to mikvah. Most of the people who follow these are very observant. Um, and it is still practiced and people still do it, and I think it's more of an observance thing. Any observance you do that is listed as one of our commandments, I feel is showing respect for Hashem and showing your compassion, not your compassion, but your passion for your relationship with Hashem. And that's how I feel about any mitzvah that it's listed that you do. Kashrut, obviously we have various reasons why we know kashrut was in place, and we choose to do that. We choose to do that to signify our relationship with Hashem. So following these things would again be doing that, which is never a bad thing and shouldn't be looked down upon, because obviously now that we read this and we see our point of view, it's not just women being set aside and saying this, that, and the other thing. Obviously there was just much of an issue with men, which is just blowing my mind, because I thought I was going to get stones thrown at me this evening, since all of you are women. Um, so I think that's pretty exciting to learn that there's an equality on that end, and actually find out there's an equality on that end. That's a pretty exciting thing. How do you all feel about it? That I can be unclean too, and that I can be stuck away in a dungeon for 7 days. For something that I may not necessarily have control over. Another instance where we see seamen is when they're out at war and in tents, if that happens, to remove themselves from the tents until morning. So this is brought up quite often, so apparently it was considered a real issue. I would love your input. I really would. All right. Well, if nobody has anything they really want to talk about or add or say about this, obviously, Ariella says she concurs with my view, which I didn't have this view until this evening. So that it's fantastic, and I thank you all for coming. so I could actually see this view. I'm very fascinated by it, and I can't wait to pass this information on. Where do you go for mikvah if you don't have one nearby? That's easy. Mikvah can be done in any moving body of water. I myself live on an island. I'm surrounded by it. Many people are under the misbelief that you have to be completely naked for a mikvah, which is not true. We just read that your clothes and yourself are submerged. So the idea that you have to be butt naked to do this in public, we just disproved, and we just read that. With that being said, if you have an ocean, as I do, you can, which I have actually done many times, you can do a self mikvah, and there is a brocha for that. If you need it, please email me around the Shabbat table at gmail.com, and I can get that to you because I do it quite often. Running water would also include, they do include ponds, as long as it has a decent water flow through it. Most ponds have about a 25%, which fulfills the mikvah. Streams, anywhere where you can completely submerge yourself, and keep your mind you're only submerging yourself for a very short period of time and coming back up. And this is acceptable. Self mikvahs are very acceptable. Obviously, if you're doing a conversion or something of much higher importance, you will want to go to a mikvah to do that. This doesn't have to be done often, and I also think that it falls under the category of when you can afford to. If you can afford to go to the mikvah more, if you can afford to go to a mikvah once a month, you pay and go to the mikvah once a month. If you can't, throw on a bathing suit, get on out there, say the bracha. If you need it, I can send it to you, and you're more than welcome to do it that way. I don't have a mikveh anywhere near me, not even close. And I know the closest one will be, I'm not sure, it may be 5 hours away, I think Miss Tracy said, because the one in New Orleans is no longer in existence. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that works when we get down there. Thank you all very much. Once again, your donations keep us going. Donate. We ask $5 to $10 if you can. If you can't do it right now and get a chance, go ahead and donate some. I appreciate you coming out. Hopefully Hannah will be back next week. Please keep Hannah and her family in your prayers. They're all dealing with a lot right now. I'm just glad I was here to jump in this week, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you come up with any questions about this later on, please feel free to contact me. Email me, find me on Facebook. I'm always willing to, because we always come up with things after the fact. So I'm going to say Torah and Lila Tov to everyone. Let me do my end of Torah, which I didn't know existed until tonight. Blessed is the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us Torah of truths, implanting within us eternal life. Blessed is the Lord, giver of the Torah. And so, good night, everyone. Thank you again.